Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my parents' basement, your parents' basement, our parents' basement. And today we're talking about some rummage sale finds. There's nothing better than finding a Blu-ray for a good deal, and that's exactly what I found with these three right here. My local library recently had just the other day, had a rummage sale. And so I went to check it out because I didn't know what it all entailed. The rummage libraries, as you know, go through their inventory and often get rid of things that haven't been checked out in a while, or that they maybe have multiple copies of and don't really need, and they sell it for fairly cheap to then put that money back into the library. It's for a good cause, and I love the library. So with this rummage sale, I didn't know if it was one of those where they'd taken some off the shelf, but I was hoping that there would be some Blu-rays in there, because my local library has started to put a nice collection of Blu-rays up, and so I don't know how many they have or which ones they're not interested in or interested in, and so I thought maybe there could be something potentially there, or maybe I could find a season of The Simpsons on DVD or whatever. And since only a certain episodes of The Simpsons were ever put on Blu-ray, then I wouldn't have to worry about the Blu-ray or anything. So either way, I just wanted to go to see what movies they had. And they had only one little shelf of Blu-rays. I think this was actually stuff in storage, because looking over these cases, I don't see anything that would indicate that it had ever been on display at the library. It doesn't have like the little library stickers, or the discs are still plain and look like, they're from fresh out of the store. So I think these are maybe ones that they didn't put up because they already had, or, for one reason or another, it never made its way out into circulation. So that's all the more better for me, I guess, in the long run. But they had a little shelf of Blu-rays, probably no more than 30 were there. They also had some DVDs, but nothing that really called out to me. Like I said, I had gone hoping maybe for like a Simpsons season that I don't have yet, that can only be found on DVD. They had some Seinfeld, but Seinfeld recently came out on 4K, so if I'm going to get Seinfeld, I want the 4K. And they had some other stuff there. But obviously my main focus was on the Blu-rays, because these were only $1 each. And so that was a steal. I don't think I've ever gotten a Blu-ray cheaper than $1, and I don't think, unless you're walking out of Walmart with it in your jacket pocket, you're not getting it for cheaper than $1. So, got some ones that I'm glad to have gotten, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. I only got 3. I was tempted to get Jurassic Park 3D Blu-ray. I already have the 4K, so what's the point of having the 3D Blu-ray? Well, because it would have made me feel different kind of ways. I don't know, something about it being 3D, I feel like would have maybe helped me sleep a little bit softer at night, but I decided not to pull the trigger on it. And I'm okay with that. I don't know how many, if I'm going to watch it, I want to watch it in 4K. I don't want to watch it in 3D. So it would have just been more like a novelty type thing. And at the time, it didn't feel right. So I'm going to trust my gut in that moment. There's some other things that kind of caught my eye, but they're on 4K, or I just wasn't interested in it at all. So, or it could potentially be coming to 4K. So I went with these ones. They're not on 4K. As far as I know, they haven't been announced for 4K, but knowing my luck, they will be once I upload this video to YouTube. And so without further ado, let's dive in. I've ranted and raved and tried to set up enough anyway, but this is what I found at my library rummage sale for $1. These 3 Blu-rays, starting with Captain Phillips. This is a Paul Greengrass movie with Tom Hanks. It has the iconic "I'm the Captain Now" scene that people meme and quote and reference all the time. I think I've only seen this one time, and it's been a while since I've seen it. But Tom Hanks gives a really great performance in this, especially that scene at the end, with the actual, well, I don't want to, I mean, if you know it, you know it, but there's a scene at the end where Tom Hanks is especially just very vulnerable in it, and it's very chilling just how real he's able to make that moment feel. But just a really great movie of suspense. I remember enjoying it, so glad to have it for $1. It's not one of those movies where it's like, oh, must have, must see, must own, must watch, all that. But for $1, it's good. There are very few movies that aren't good enough for $1. And so for Captain Phillips, I think it's a steal, because based on a true story, really great acting, really great drama and suspense, just kind of a cool type of movie that we don't really get that much anymore. And directed by Paul Greengrass. Hi, Paul. I feel like we don't get a lot of Paul Greengrass movies anymore, or maybe we do and I just don't know about them. But the Shaky Cam Master, back at it again. This says it's Blu-ray DVD. It comes with both the Blu-ray and the DVD. It also comes with the digital HD code, so I don't even know if it'll work or not. I don't really care to because I usually don't use those codes anyway. So that's all. So I don't know if they already had one of these on the shelf and said, I'll just put that in the back, or what happened. But it was there. It was for $1, and so I took it because it's like, oh, for $1, can't go wrong. Then we've got Gravity 3D. I was talking about Jurassic Park 3D, didn't pull the trigger, but for Gravity 3D I did. It comes with the Blu-ray and 3D Blu-ray. I think the 4K player can play 3D, but even if it can't, obviously I have the Blu-ray already, so it doesn't really matter. And I don't really care that much, you know? Gravity is a movie I've never seen. I've heard a lot of people talk about how it's really great visuals, but I've also heard a lot of people say how it's kind of like a first-time, one-time watch only, and after that, it kind of, you don't really care that much anymore, it kind of wears off. But I like George Clooney, I like Sandra Bullock, and like I said, I've been meaning to watch this movie for a while, but just never get around to it. And so for $1, Blu-ray at the Rummage sale, I figured why not? I've heard enough people say good things about it, and I'm interested to see it. It's been on my watch list for a while, as I said, and it's a, you know, the plot-wise, it's something that I would be interested in. And so, again, it looks like it. I assume this one probably didn't go out because it was a 3D Blu-ray, and they said, we're not going to put that out, just because I can't, they don't have 4Ks there, but that's saying I would imagine someone, like, why would you buy a 4K movie and then give it to the library? You know, it doesn't make any sense. But I guess someone had a similar thought process with the 3D Blu-ray. I don't know. But, again, for $1, you cannot go wrong. And then this one's kind of the steal of the haul, I guess, if you could say. Night at the Museum, Battle at the Smithsonian. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're thinking, actually. I just listed another movie. You have nothing to think. But if you've noticed, this is a big case. Now, why is a big case holding Night at the Museum, Battle at the Smithsonian? Well, behind this is also the cover for the first Night at the Museum. And that's because this comes with the first and second Night at the Museum on Blu-ray, DVD, and Battle of the Smithsonian also comes with, this tells you how old it is, the original version of the digital copy, when you would plug it into, when you'd put the disc into your computer and download it onto the computer. Yeah, we've come a long way. But Night at the Museum is a movie that I have watched and really enjoyed since I was a kid. I remember going over to my grandparents' house and watching this as my nighttime before bed movie. I've always favored the second one. That's the one that I remember watching the most. I just enjoy kind of the vibe, the kind of buddy cop tag team that Amy Adams and Ben Stiller have as, I forget his name, but, it says on the back, Larry Daly, and then obviously she's Amelia Earhart, the wax figure or whatever. I kind of like the duo that they create in the second one, and just the scale being bigger because they're at the Smithsonian just allows for more things to happen, and so I like that one. Probably a bit more than the first one, but the first one's classic in its own right to just be like a fun family movie. So these are two movies that I really do enjoy. I've only seen the third one once, and I wasn't in a great mood when I watched it, and I remember not particularly liking it. I should probably revisit it just to see how I feel about it again under better circumstances. But it's been a really long time, and I've only seen it the one time. And like I said, I wasn't really interested in watching it when I did, and then I ended up watching it anyway, and didn't really enjoy myself. So that deserves a rewatch. But these first two I really like. I think I'm gonna take it out of this big box container. I think I've got a couple extra Blu-ray cases lying around that I could probably finagle to get them in, since it comes with both their regular, disc cover art. And then I'll save this 5-disc Blu-ray set for, a rainy day when I need it. It's interesting to me that it ended up in this, though. I've been trying and racking my brain to think what circumstances arose that the library decided to put these together. Because obviously, with all the evidence that we have with the two separate cases or covers, and looking up and not seeing like a release like this, I wonder what caused them to decide to put it into one. But I got this for only $1, so technically 50 cents each. That's the new low to beat. But like I said, I enjoy both these films. Didn't have them already, and so to get them for essentially 50 cents each, a buck for each, or a buck for the set, it was definitely worth it. And so I was glad to see it there and pick it up, and to get them both. So those are the 3 movies I picked up at my local library rummage sale: Captain Phillips, Gravity on 3D, and Night at the Museum and Night at the Museum Battle of the Smithsonian. So I was glad to get them, and I, enjoyed the time enough and just liked the whole ordeal enough to make a little video about it, to talk about getting them, because I usually don't, go into, a lot of people will talk about if you're starting a Blu-ray collection, or even if you're well into one, rummage sales, pawn shops, things of that nature can get you Blu-rays for cheap, rather than going on to Walmart and buying this for $8 or something. Or if something's out of print, maybe instead of overpaying, $40 for it on eBay, you could find it at someone's rummage sale for $5 or something. But usually I don't, I feel like people don't really do rummage sales that much anymore. And who's to say even spending time to go and track them down would work? Or I've never been in a pawn shop, and after seeing Pulp Fiction, I don't know if I want to be. But either way, so it was kind of cool to, to go to one and like hope that there'd be Blu-rays, and then there actually was Blu-rays, and then there's movies that I actually wanted and could get, and only spent $1 on each one. It was just a fun time, and ever since my library did that one a couple months back, or probably like a year ago now at this point. Time travel's weird. I've been hoping that they would do another kind of sale of some kind, so you can buy some cool old books for really cheap, and then also, like I said, put it towards the library, which is a good cause, because libraries are great. Just love going into a library. I want to be one of those old people in a library doing a puzzle, or looking at old used cars on one of the computers. Like, I just want to be there, and like other people walk around and go, oh, that guy's just here because he's got nothing else to do and he just wants to be at the library, do a puzzle. That's the kind of old man I want to be. I want to be an old man that just, you look at and you go like, that's an old man right there, and that's an old man who's doing old man things. Like, I want to keep the old man traditions alive. So I want to sit outside when there's nothing else to do and just creep everybody out. Open up my garage, pull a folding chair out, and for some random reason, sit at the edge of my garage and look out over the street. Like, why am I doing that? But I'm doing it, and I'm doing old man stuff. I don't want to complain about people standing in my yard. That's too generic. I don't want to play into the generic old man. I want to be just the old man. I don't want to be old man, Jenkins, who's a mean old man. What am I even talking about anymore? Can you where did this come from? Where did this come from? What? I really don't know what that was. I just kind of kept going. Like, it started off as like a bit, because like there really are those type of old men at the library, and I see them and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to be like that kind of old man. And so I was speaking from an area of truth, and just hamming it up a little bit, making a little joke for the video. And then I kept going, and all this is based in fact. I know I had an old neighbor who just would sit out at the edge of his garage in a folding chair, maybe not want to cut the yard, And I just kept going. I was unpacking stuff. I don't know what the heck happened. Anyway, guys, oh man, talking about 4 Blu-rays technically, and you start talking about your old man dreams, and you just lose sight of everything. Anyway, guys, so this is what I picked up. Love seeing that sea of blue. Let me know if you've picked up what's your best rummage sale find, Picked up any great Blu-rays on any rummage sales or pawn shops or whatever. Let me know about your old person dreams, what you want to do when you're an old person. And if you think you're already an old person, just know that it's about feeling young at heart. Anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do, and make sure you're here next time, so I can see you in my parents' basement, your parents' basement, our parents' basement.